boys and girls. In today's video, we are going to be listening to a new story. Now, before I start the new story, I want us to stop and think about all of the other books that we've read this year in class. Is there any book that you can remember that was your favorite? Maybe it was If You Take a Mouse to School or Dot the Fire Dog. Maybe It's Not a Box. That's one of my favorite. Let's see, what else did we read? This month we've been reading Giraffes Can't Dance, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, In Our Country, Can You Say Peace? Those were some of the books that we read last month. Now, the story we're going to listen to today is a story about children. Children who love to either read or have someone read to them. Now, reading is something very important. Do you think you know why reading is so important? What happens when you read? When you really like a story, what can happen? I don't know about you, but for me, I start imagining like a movie in my head. I can see pictures if it's a book with pictures in it, and I can add more to the pictures in my mind. And it's like a little movie. Or if I read a book that has no pictures, I can create the pictures in my head just by reading the book. I can learn about new countries. I can learn about new topics from books. And that's why books are so important. That's why reading is so important. So these children all have a topic that they like to listen to about. And that's what we're going to listen to. We're going to find out what they like to listen, what kind of stories they like to hear, or they like to read on their own. Okay? Now, the story is called Read and Rise. And this is the cover. And as you can see, we have all these children. And these are the children in the story who are going to tell us what kind of books they like to listen to or they like to read on their own. Now, the author of this book is Sandra L. Pinckney. And are these illustrations? Are these drawings? No, you're right, they're not. They're photographs. So the photographer is Miles C. Pinckney. And now at the bottom it says, Foreword by Maya Angelou. That means that before the story starts, there's going to be a little something in the beginning, and it's going to be a poem by an author by the name of Maya Angelou. And this is what she wrote. Reading is the pathway from the dungeon to the door. Freedom. Reading is the highway from the shadow to the sun. Freedom. Reading is the river to your liberty. For all your life to come, let the river run. Learn. Learn to read. And that's exactly what this little girl's doing. She's reading. So now let's see what the rest of the book is about. Ooh, here's the first child. Now this is what he wrote. On Grandpa's lap, in a rocking chair, in search of land, exploring new worlds. So let's look at the pictures and let's try and figure out what kind of books this little boy likes to listen to. So look at the way he's dressed. Now look at what he has in his hands and where he's sitting. You can't see much of where he's sitting, but it gives you enough clues to tell you what kind of books he likes. Right, he likes sailing. He likes books about sailing. And when you go sailing, you can go to new places by water instead of by a car or by plane. Ooh, the next one. Under the covers, flashlight in hand, having a wild adventure, spying tigers. Spying. Spying means that you're looking at something or someone without them knowing. So they don't know that you're looking at them. What kind of stories does this boy like to read about? And when he reads these stories, what does it make him imagine that he is? Right. He likes to imagine that he works with animals. So on his shirt over here, it says Junior Zookeeper. So he likes to read books about animals and about people who go on wild adventures and watch these animals. And by doing this, he can grow up to be a zookeeper, work with animals at the zoo. In Daddy's chair, turning pages, looking out the cockpit, flying high in the sky. What kind of books does this girl like to listen to? Look at the pictures. Use the pictures as clues to try and figure out what kind of books she likes to listen to. Right, she likes to listen to books about flying, about being a pilot. A pilot sits in the cockpit of a plane. So that's the front of the plane. And flying high in the sky, because that's what they do in a plane, right? You fly high in the sky. So she likes to listen to stories about flying high in the sky. And she likes to read stories with her dad. Sitting by the fire in my mother's arms with tape and bandages, healing all the hurts. What kind of stories or books does this little girl like to listen to about? Right. She likes to listen to books about doctors or maybe veterinarians. Because if you see in this picture, she has a stethoscope. She has her stethoscope, but this is not a person, it's an animal. So, an animal doctor is called a veterinarian. Read and rise. In the kitchen, on a stool, following a recipe, creating a delicious meal. What kind of book is he reading? Look at the way he's dressed. Right, he's reading a recipe book with maybe his mom and dad or aunt and uncle. And he's dressed as a chef with his chef hat and maybe an apron. Yep, an apron. So recipe books. Recipe books are very important as well. They teach you math and they teach you how to read. All right. In my bedroom, on the floor, surrounded by students, teaching them to read. What kind of books does she like to listen to? Or she likes to read them herself, actually. Right. She likes to read books about teachers and classrooms. You see, she has her little blackboard. She wrote duck, koala bear, cat, and her dolly is her student. At the schoolhouse, in a circle, shooting for the stars, soaring through space. So this boy is listening to a story about what in his classroom? Look at what he's wearing. Right, about astronauts in space. So he's imagining himself as an astronaut. Inside the library, lost in a book, putting out fires, rescuing people. What kind of stories does this boy like to read? Look at his outfit. What is he wearing? And the clue was putting out fires. Who puts out fires? Right, a firefighter. So he likes to read stories about firefighters. Read and rise. At the park, on a bench, picture in motion, catching the action. What are the stories he likes to listen to? What does he have in his hands? A ball and a mitt. He likes stories about baseball players. Maybe he wants to grow up and be a baseball player. On the couch, sister by my side, spinning and twirling, dancing on stage. What kind of stories do they like to listen to? Look at the way they're dressed. And who likes to spin and twirl? A dancer, right? Or a ballerina. And now look at this picture. Is the mommy reading the book? No, the sister. The big sister's reading to the little sister. And that's something you can learn to do too. If you have little cousins or little brothers and sisters. Now it says exploring, spying, flying, healing, and cooking. So those are all the topics that the kids like to read about. This one like to learn about exploring new lands. This one like to learn about spying on animals. This little girl like to learn about flying in airplanes. This little boy like to read about, this little girl like to learn about healing. So maybe a doctor. And this little boy like to read about cooking. And then on the other side it says teaching, soaring, rescuing, catching, and dancing. Those are other things you can learn in books. You can learn about teaching. You can learn about soaring in a spaceship, rescuing like firefighters do, catching like they do in baseball, or dancing like ballerinas. Just open a book to read and rise. So when you read books, you learn new things, or you learn more about things you already know, and that helps you get smarter. The end. This was such a great story. Hi, boys and girls. For this video, we are going to be going over our activity for the Read and Rise story that we just read. So like we did in our previous writing sheet, the sentence for this sheet says, I like books about. And this time I have only two options. I have animals or jobs. And it's okay if you choose one of these and for your picture you draw a specific animal or specific job. So I'm going to say I like books about animals. So you're going to write the word. Animal is right here, the word. Starts with an A. I'm going to make an A. The next letter is an N. Then an I. M. another A, an L, and the last letter is S. Animals. And then to finish our sentence, we have to place a dot for the period. That lets the reader know that the sentence is over. Now, like I said, if you choose animals for your picture, you can draw any animal you want, okay? So I like books about animals, and it can be any animals. I like books about cats because there are lots of different cats. So I'm going to draw a little cat right here. Don't forget the whiskers. And draw a little body. Little legs. Tail. And some ears. So like we've heard in our story, books can teach us so many things. It can teach us about all the different types of cats that there are, like tigers and lions, cheetahs, even cats that live in our houses, like tabby cats and all types of other cats. If you choose to do jobs, you might like to read books about different types of jobs or one specific job, like the little boy who liked to hear stories about astronauts. Astronauts, that's their job. They go into space or they do things that have to do with space. So even though you write the word jobs, you can draw a specific job for a picture of a specific job. Okay? Can't wait to see pictures. I hope you can take pictures of you working on this sheet.